Have you ever looked at a car and wondered if the designers were actively trying to punish the American public? It takes a moment to appreciate just how ugly some of these cars are, probably because of the mind's defensive mechanism of blocking out extreme trauma. But look long enough, you poor thing, and you will see the truth. Some of these vehicles didn't just push the envelope of bad taste, they set it completely on fire. Even the biggest American car companies sometimes produced shocking design failures. When millions of dollars in corporate research result in a rolling crime against humanity, you have to ask yourself what exactly was going on in Detroit. From bloated blobs to abruptly chopped hatchbacks, here are the top 11 ugliest American cars in U.S. history. Number 11. 1978 Oldsmobile Cutlass Aeroback. When the time came to downsize its successful midsize cars, General Motors decided the Buick Century and Oldsmobile Cutlass ought to have a European look. And what could possibly be more European than a hatchback? The results, as you can see, were predictably awful. Technically, the Aeroback cars weren't true hatchbacks, as they had a conventional trunk lid, but consumers didn't complain because they were too busy not buying them. GM was so confident in the design that it didn't bother to offer a traditional sedan version right away. Sales tanked almost immediately, forcing GM to rush a proper sedan into production for 1980. From chopped-off rear ends, we moved to a car completely covered in fiberglass. Number 10. 1977 Lieta Caballero. The Chevrolet Chevette was a pitiful car. It was slow, noisy, and thoroughly miserable, but at least it wasn't tragically unattractive. That's something Mr. Donald Steinbau decided to set right. He slapped on 350 pounds of Bondo and fiberglass, endeavoring to endow his Franken car with styling cues from the first-generation Monte Carlo, and resold it for nearly double the Chevette's price. Amazingly, he made nearly 100 of the things, including a handful of El Camino-inspired pickup trucks that look even more ridiculous. Apparently, he named the car after his wife. Absolute grounds for divorce, if you ask us. Mr. Steinbau apparently lost his shirt on the whole works, so there is some justice in the universe. Our next entry proves corporate designers can make equally embarrassing decisions.
Number 9. 1974 Sebring Vanguard City Car. If you've ever wondered how electric cars got a reputation as glorified golf carts, well, here you go. The city car, the brainchild or perhaps brain fart of a company called Sebring Vanguard, literally was a glorified golf cart. It featured a 2.5 horsepower motor and a wheel chock-shaped body that must have cost tens of dollars to design. It had a 40-mile range and could accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds. Oh, sorry, that's how long it took to accelerate to 25 miles per hour, which was a mere 3 miles per hour shy of its top speed. It was an inherently unsafe car, and every time they got in, the driver genuinely risked dying of embarrassment. Speaking of embarrassment, our next entry took a beloved pony car and ruined it.
Number 8. 1974 Ford Mustang II Ghia. We'll skip the debate about whether the downsized Mustang II was a stroke of genius or a national tragedy. Sure, the Mustang II looked silly overall, but the major visual offense was the luxury-themed Ghia model. This was a direct victim of Ford's absurd notion that any car could be made better with the addition of opera windows. It was one thing to shrink the Stang down to a Pinto chassis, but attempting to give it a luxury vibe with a thickly padded vinyl formal roof and color-keyed pumpers was nothing less than a crime against humanity. And did they honestly think we wouldn't notice that the hubcaps were lifted straight from the Ford Granada? Ford ruined the Mustang's dignity, but Malcolm Bricklin was about to unleash a brand new disaster. Number 7. 1974 Bricklin SV1. Malcolm Bricklin is the man who foisted the Subaru 360 and the Yugo on American buyers, and if that isn't proof of malignant intent, we don't know what is. His one attempt at making a car of his own was the Plastic Fantastic Safety Vehicle 1, and it was terrible in so many ways. There are the gargantuan gundo bumpers, the awkward gun-slit windows, and those oh-so-1970s turbine vane wheels that truly belong on a Chevy van with Shaggin' Wagon painted in day-glow balloon letters on the side. Assembly quality was abysmal. Body panels warped before they were even attached to the chassis, and the 90-pound gull-wing doors would regularly bend or break under the force of their hydraulic actuators. Ugly to look at and ugly to own. That was the Bricklin. But at least it wasn't a classic ruined by a massive nose. Number 6. 1970 Ford Thunderbird. The late 60s Thunderbirds were, if not exactly pretty cars, certainly non-offensive. They had a sleek aesthetic that resonated with buyers. And then 1970 came along, and Ford decided to stick a giant beak on the front. Management demanded a prominent protrusion, and the designers obliged by giving the Thunderbird an enormous pointy nose that made the front end look exactly like a depressed pigeon searching for roadkill. Seriously, Ford, the emphasis should be on the thunder, not the bird. The massive beak completely shattered the sleek lines of the car. The whole front fascia seemed to be drooping downward in pure misery. While Ford was busy ruining a luxury cruiser, Buick was about to destroy their own flagship coupe. Number 5. 1970 Buick Riviera. The second-generation Buick Riviera was a breathtakingly beautiful car, at least from 1966 until 1969, with its racy lines and inboard hidden headlights. And then this happened. It takes a moment to appreciate just how ugly this car is. Look long enough, you poor thing, and you will see it. The way the grille seems to be sliding down off the front of the car, the way the skirted rear fenders seem to be growing over the wheels like runaway mold, and the way the whole body is bloated like a drowning victim. Riviera sales dropped like a girder in free fall when this bastardized blob hit the showroom floor. Mercifully, it was replaced in 1971. Buick's massive blob was offensive, but American Motors was about to completely outdo them. Number 4. 1970 AMC Gremlin. The Gremlin sold for 2/3 the cost of most small cars, which is entirely appropriate because it looked exactly like 2/3 of a car. Truth be told, the Gremlin was a stroke of corporate genius. It was cheap to develop, right for the times, and a runaway sales success, at least by AMC's modest standards. But did it have to be so intensely ugly? AMC considered a shortened version of the Hornet that design chief Dick Teague said was even uglier, though considering that he signed off on the Gremlin, famously sketching it on the back of an air sickness bag, we're not entirely sure his opinion can be trusted. Its oddly chopped rear end made it look completely disproportionate. It was a dorky-looking car, but at least AMC didn't bankrupt an entire division trying to sell it. Our next automaker wasn't so lucky.
Number 3. 1958 Edsel Corsair. Ford wanted to create an entirely new luxury brand to change the world, and what they created was a punchline that has lasted for more than half a century. The Edsel Corsair showed up with a radically weird vertical grille that critics famously compared to an Oldsmobile sucking on a lemon. The styling was utterly bizarre, featuring a heavily chromed and bloated face that looked permanently shocked by its own reflection. The American public rejected it with extreme prejudice, and the entire Edsel division collapsed in one of the most spectacularly expensive failures in automotive history. It was an epic corporate miscalculation, yet it still wasn't the weirdest thing ever put on American roads. Number 2. 1975 AMC Pacer. Ah, the Pacer, the very first wide, small car. AMC's concept did make for some cute commercials, but it also made for a seriously unattractive vehicle. The Pacer's incredibly huge glass area was designed to give drivers better visibility, but instead it just made them feel exactly like a goldfish being boiled in its own bowl on a sunny afternoon. Out back, the awkward taillights looked like they were hastily designed with a cake frosting spatula. The Pacer got even uglier in 1978 when AMC fitted a bulging hood and a stand-up grille to clear a new optional V8 engine. This was a misguided attempt to give the Pacer the power it needed to move all that heavy glass.
Poorly conceived and poorly executed, the Pacer was a car for dorks long before dorks were ever considered cool. But even the mighty Pacer must graciously bow to the undisputed king of the ugly hill. Number 1. 2001 Pontiac Aztek. When you look up automotive tragedy in the dictionary, there is only a picture of the 2001 Pontiac Aztek. General Motors set out to invent the ultimate crossover utility vehicle, and what they managed to unleash was a vehicle so breathtakingly repulsive that it takes genuine psychological effort to look directly at it. Where do we even begin? There is the bizarre double hood that looks like a tragic afterthought, the tiny little wheels completely dwarfed by massive wheel wells, and a slab-sided rear end that looks exactly like a generic dumpster. And let's not forget the sheer acreage of cheap, faded gray plastic body cladding covering the bottom half of the vehicle as if it was wearing a dirty diaper. It was austere, goggle-eyed, and satisfied to wallow shamelessly in its subpar status. It was so universally hated that it almost single-handedly destroyed the Pontiac brand, earning its rightful place as the absolute ugliest car in American history. And there you have it, the ultimate gallery of American automotive despair. Did we get the number 1 spot right? Drop a comment below and let us know which car you think is the true ugliest in U.S. history.